Well, the first case study I wish to discuss is for a client who had a budget of around £15,000 to £17,000 and was looking for a modern style sailing boat. Now, this is a pretty restricted budget for a boat with a modern layout inside. We worked with the client to look at boats that would fit his specification, and it quickly became obvious that there was only really two, and that was the Yachting France UA760 or the Jeanneau Fantasia. We looked at various boats, found varying quality, but in the end settled on the UA760. Has very good seafaring capabilities, actually a boat with offshore capabilities, but that's only 26 foot long, so this met the client's specification extremely well. We looked at various boats and found a common problem with the UA760, in that the keel tends to push up into the hull and can cause micro cracking or cracking around the keel hull join. So we found this on a particular boat that was perfect in every other detail. A boat companion negotiated with the broker for a significant reduction in cost to cover the repair. So the problem was actually kicked up by the survey, which again actually identifies the importance of getting a survey done. Eventually we bought the boat. We managed the whole repair process for that boat. Got the client the appropriate training and experience, found a berth for him, and he now has a very, very good quality boat that will do him proud well into the future. Now, the next example is for a client who had a budget of approximately £15,000 to £20,000 to spend. He wanted a small powerboat, a powerboat with lots of area for entertaining, somewhere they could have a glass of wine on the back, but also a boat that would take them around the Solent nicely. Actually, there's a lot of boats in this class. There are the Quicksilver series of boats. There is the Mary Fisher series of boat, the Antares. There's a lot, but the budget was actually something which restricted him quite substantially. So we had to look at the more lower priced end of the market, but still for a quality boat. We went therefore for the Quicksilver, and the Quicksilver 640 Pilot House was the boat that we went for in the end. Boat Companion managed every aspect of the purchase, from obviously helping the client to decide which boat he was going to go for, and then right the way through the checking of ownership of that particular boat, the completion of the survey, all of the transaction and legal documentation, right the way through to finding a berth. The client really was hands-off on this particular project. Very, very busy person. Just knew that he wanted a boat that he could use and his family could use on the Solent way into the future. In the end, a very happy customer who has a quality boat for an excellent price. Really good price negotiation process took place on this boat. A couple of issues kicked up in the survey that allowed us to negotiate the price down further. In the end, a real success story. The third case study is included here just to demonstrate that we can provide advice on any sort of budget of boat, and also to demonstrate that you don't need necessarily to have a lot of money to get into the sailing sport. This particular client had around £1,000 to £1,500. Now, obviously, he was going to get quite a small boat and a boat that needed a bit of work, but Boat Companion were able to help him find, well, first of all, to identify boats that he could potentially purchase for that sort of price, but then to find a boat that, yes, needed work, but needed work that wasn't fundamental to the quality of the hull, to the sailability of the vessel. We also purchased this boat through eBay. Another interesting question is the use of eBay as a tool for purchasing boats, often private sales, and and how those sorts of boats can be purchased in the most safe and risk reduced manner. Now, the next case study I wish to discuss is the purchase of a powerboat for a client who has between sort of £65,000 and £80,000 to spend. Now, this guy's relatively new to the water, and knows that he wants a powerboat with a particular specification of 4 berths, planing hull, able to go a fair distance offshore, something that will last him a good period of time. But something that he's not going to get hit too hard with the depreciation curve. So he doesn't want something brand new. He wants something about 2 years old, which is a good age to avoid that initial drop off in value. So we looked at many different boats and consulted with this particular person to see which ones he liked. And we've settled on the Rinker at the moment. So Rinker, there's various lengths. There's the 270, there's the 300. He's looking for something about 30 foot, so it's looking like the Rinker 300. And there's quite a few out there. Great seagoing boat, 4 berths. So now we're looking for the appropriate boat and looking all around the country and to try and find something at a good price. And obviously then we'll look at negotiating that price down. We'll then manage the survey process, ensure that all the documentation and the purchase contract is in order, and then moving on from there, initial training, and then on from that, ensuring the boat is kitted out properly, ready for him to enjoy it. We've also got to find a mooring for him. He's very specific about the area that he'd like this boat to be moored. So we need to try and find him a berth in that particular area. So hopefully we'll be able to have champagne aboard his new boat very soon. Well, that's all we have time for today. I hope you've enjoyed this first in the series of information videos on the boat buying market, and I hope that you can join us next week for a discussion on choosing the right boat, whether that be a sailing yacht or a power vessel.